What is going on, y'all? This is your boy Saint Irving. This week we got some new story mode scenes, some new gameplay, and I'm going to be breaking down everything I've observed from this. Now, we were shown two fights, both from the same chapter, chapter 1, episodes 3 and 7. And one of the biggest news is that they explained that we're going to be gating 130 episodes, which when we translate what that means, that's going to be 423 chapters in the manga, and that's going to be well over 20 hours, possibly even up to 30, depending on how long they make each episode. And then we're not even talking about secret story yet, so this is shaping up to be one of the best story modes adaptations for an anime game, and in recent years we haven't seen many games try to do this level of effort. Now, one thing I wanted to emphasize is that Bleach Rebirth of Souls is a retelling, not a rewatch of Bleach. It is Bleach through a video game, giving a different forum to tell the story of Bleach. For example, Chad bumping into Ichigo when it comes to the Shrieker episode. That never happened. Essentially what happened was Rukia was following Chad after he had left Ishin's office from a recent hollow injury, and then upon discovery, Rukia was attacked by Shrieker, and then Chad helped Rukia. They both were not doing very great, neither of them had powers, and Ichigo eventually stepped in. It's a little bit different than how it's told in the manga, but it still drives the point home. Ichigo still ends up saving the day. They still end up talking about Chad's immense strength, and the plot points, which is the bird and the boy that's stuck in the body of the bird, is still talked about. So overall, although the details get changed around, the main plots and themes are still told in the story. And that's kind of how we have to interpret this game. Fans should be coming into this game with an open mind and open arms, understanding that the story will be told a little bit differently, but the main themes and plots of how we get there will still be kept for the most part. This may not be a mirror copy to the anime nor the manga, but it still stays true to the identity of what Bleach is. I think that couldn't be more emphasized by the fact that Kubo has greenlighted this and also, thoroughly expressed his enjoyment of the game. In the VA episode, we got two main fights, more cutscenes, and some beautiful art that gave us insight. With Shrieker, basically, this is a scene that can't be missed. It's the first time Ichigo is introduced to the gates of hell. So I imagine after that he defeats Shrieker, he'll be introduced to the gates of hell, which is very important for the overall theme of the show and plots that are later discovered at a later time. So while the story was changed a little bit, overall the theme is still going to be intact. This was my impression when I first saw the scene, because it seemed a little bit easy. It seemed like, the VA was able to defeat him fairly easy. One thing is I translated some of the wordings throughout the episode, so I was able to understand what a lot of things that were being said. One thing I picked up was that it said after Soul Break, Shrieker would start flying. And so it seems that, just like many other games, once you do a certain amount of damage, they will go into another state or start doing another attack. Very similar to many boss battles. It also said medium to large enemies will take heavy damage during guard break. One of the things that it does also state there is that if you time your steps well in response to an enemy attack, you will perform a Mikiri attack, in which it will grant you a buff that increases your spiritual power from attacks for a certain period of time. What I'm understanding is if you do your perfect flash step, or as they call it, counter, then you'll be able to get a temporary buff in addition to doing a little bit of damage. So there is an extra benefit. It doesn't show you with any sort of icon, but if you're able to pull off a perfect flash step, it says here you'll get a buff. As I mentioned, it was my impression when I first saw the episode that it seemed that they were taking a different route while still adhering to the feel of Bleach. And, one thing I've noticed for a lot of people, it's difficult to get the feeling of everything that's being done when you can't actually understand the language. I think it being in subbed and a lot of people failing to hear what's being said or understanding what's being said leads them to be like, well, this is kind of boring, or, you can't understand the language, my dear. You don't even know what's being said, because a lot of people receive the dubbed very well. I actually think the dubbed is spectacular. I think what's happening here is that there's a lack of context and a lack of feeling and a lack of connection when it's subbed and you can't actually understand what's being said. And so it's funny just that, for me, sub was fine, but I really, really got excited when it wasn't dubbed because I could actually fully understand it. And while at the same time, I know most of the dialogue, not by heart, but I know most of the dialogue that's said in a lot of the story. And so when it got to the part for Byakuya, I could tell that the dialogue was pretty spot on, and it was. I read through the whole thing, and it's pretty much just about what Byakuya said, what Rukia said, what Renji said. The dialogue was spot on. There was even dialogue during the fight between Ichigo and Renji. So this tells me that, similar to the Shrieker battle, depending on the tide of the battle, there will be certain dialogue that will be said. So imagine, for pretty much every fight, you're going to be getting new dialogue scenes, both in sub and dub. This game is taking things to a different notch. I already know I'm going to play the first round in dub, so I know everything that they're saying. This is a brand new experience for any Bleach fan, because at the end of the day, none of us have seen the direction in which these devs have taken this game and how they've taken the story. So it offers a fresh new approach that we can all enjoy, a brand new telling of Bleach. So I think that's offering so much excitement for old fans and offers a new way for new fans to get excited about Bleach, because they don't have to sit through a lot of filler. They can sit through a more condensed version of the story, and if they wanted to find the true full story, they could read the manga at that point, or they could watch the anime. But in either case, it gives them a very broad scope of the Bleach world. Overall, Tamsoft is doing it right. They have expressed that Bleach can be repetitive, and they wanted the story mode to be fun and well-paced. So they've taken some creative liberties to tell the story within their limitations in a way that new fans and old fans can enjoy, but through a new pair of eyes. It may end up the same, but the details may vary a little, and that makes it a little bit extra fun. There's obviously some limitations in how the models move, and so for example, it was very obvious to me that in the scene where Byakuya is about to cut off Ichigo's hand for grabbing him, and Rukia screams at him in reality to save him, and says, "How dare you touch my brother," and kicks his arm off of Byakuya. In this scene, she instead, you can hear that she's kicked him, you can see she's in front of him, but you don't actually see the kick because the model can't do the move. And so this is one way to kind of infer and show, hey, I'm doing the thing, but I can't show you the thing because of our limitations. I'll take it. I will take it. I have already seen that, they have some beautiful artwork. They've got some beautiful sound. They've got some wonderful cinematics. They've got some great graphics. I don't think that the VA is playing on the most updated version of the demo, because what we see in the trailers are not the same thing that we're seeing in his experience. The quality is a little bit less, and so to me, it appears that he might be working from an outdated demo, but that's just my working theory. Given that we've seen some scenes that have a little bit more crisp to them, I would imagine that's what's going on. Now, we did get to see Renji. His moves look great. Movement does matter as much as attack. As you can see when Renji is fighting Ichigo, there's a moment where he tries to sidestep, and it's not effective. And the reason is that because he sidestepped a little bit too late. A few people were wondering, oh my god, this looks kind of jank. It's actually no. He wasn't out of danger in the frames. If you take a look, the step he did before, he was completely out of danger. The the step won the interaction, and he was able to then get in close. As Renji, he could have just stayed at a mid-range distance. You can see that his range is crazy. So, it's one of those things where you're going to have to understand your movement and mixing it up before you can start saying the game's jank. You feel? And also, one thing that I've been noticing is that even with like Ukiyoda, for example, I rewatched some of the fights that we've had recently, and with Ukiyoda, his signature move seems to have a variation. He normally holds his arm up to do the Seto, but during that combo, he had both his hands up as he shot off his Seto at the same time that he had his sword. And you can see that he didn't need to use any spiritual pressure techniques, and so that's clearly a signature move. So what that tells me is that there are variations depending on when you throw out your signature move. Yeah, so this is just another thing that, you know, I think it adds another layer to the combat. Depending on when you throw out certain moves, it will interact differently with the other combo set. And I think that's such an awesome detail that could not be left out. We've also seen throughout battles that there is Soul Crazy, Soul Destruction, Soul Break, Beat Up, and they're all animations triggered depending on how the tide of the battle changes, or shifts, or ends. So for example, when you're beat up, basically, you've taken some damage, they've taken some damage, and they leave you with beat up. With Soul Crazy, it appears that when you take no soul damage, so if you're at 9 and they're at 0, that's Soul Crazy. So I can see how they thought of that. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of funny, if anything, because it's like, oh, you're so crazy, but it's also your soul is crazy. Like, I can see the joke they just tried to make there, and it's kind of funny. It actually took me a second to figure it out until I said it out loud, and I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing. And then, of course, with Soul Reverse, it's basically that you have turned the tide of the battle, and that one's actually emphasized and said at the very bottom of the screen. So it's showing you that, you know, they've created different scenarios for you. So it's really cool. I really like that extra little detail. We didn't notice it at first until we saw it a few times, but we had seen it once before during the Toshiro and Gin fight. And my apologies, doing a breakdown while actually talking to the Saints and chatting, it's actually a lot harder than I thought. So I don't know about breakdown live, because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to manage and stay on topic. But overall, it's cool that we're getting more of these things. Story mode looks good. You know, we also saw some outfits that were newer. So, you know, Uryu, we got to see him in his school outfit. I don't think we've seen Chad in his school outfit before. If so, please let me know down in the comments. Moving on to Dub. Dub sounds amazing. I already know I'm going to be doing the first set of story mode through Dub. I want to listen to all of it. I don't want to have to read. I think it's going to be really fun to just actually dive back in. I was going to do a rewatch, and I think I'm going to do a rewatch of Bleach before this game comes out, so that way I can compare it. And I'm also going to probably read the manga, so that way I can really compare the different forums and how they all kind of, what's similar about them and what's different, you know? Understand the game you're getting, you know? Don't buy into the hype. Don't find yourself disappointed. Know if this game is for yourself. One of the reasons why I'm doing these videos is to give you the positives, give you the low, and also just tell you, hey, this is what the game could be. This is what the game is, but it's up to you to decide, is this game for you? Now, I want us to think very carefully and understand, we are going to get hate for this game no matter what, okay? We've already seen it. We've got a certified hater already. Jiren, you know that's you. You're getting your 5 seconds of fame right now. I'm not trying to give you no damn clout, but we know we got certified haters at this point. Like, no matter what we do, we already have people trying to drown this game. And we've seen it, we know it, we know who they are. Don't listen to them. Play your game, player. Enjoy it. People will make you try to hate this game. They will try to make you rage. Don't waste your time. Ask yourself, do I like this game? If you don't, okay. Pick up another game and enjoy your day. If you do, then fuck them. These people live off reactions. Block them. Laugh at them. But don't get angry. Don't react. Don't give them what they want. Right? They're going to be saying, Rebirth, Bleach, Rebirth of mid. Okay, bet. What is mid? Because honestly, I'm sick of this bullcrap of saying mid. You know what? Check this. A game doesn't have to be good or bad. That's a spectrum y'all live in. And that's for sheep. That ain't for me. I don't know if that's for y'all, but that ain't for me. That ain't for the Saints, okay? Listen, We don't judge on hot or cold, good or bad. We are more nuanced than that, okay? Is the graphics good? How's the soundtrack? Main menu? What's it looking like? Direction of the modes. Does it fit the theme? Okay? I'm not a Jiren, I'm a Goku, okay? Be a main character. Be a saint, okay? So just remember, main character energy. We're not gonna sit here and crash out about the little details. We're gonna be open-minded. We're gonna realize this game is doing everything right. We are in good hands, okay? So Tamsoft's really cooking. I'm actually very, very, very excited to see what they have next. And, you know, I think this really paints a great picture. You know, we get to dive into the story of Bleach. We get a retelling of Bleach, so we get a fresh new experience. And then as the game proceeds and goes on, it gets harder and harder. One thing that it mentions is that once you get Bankai, things start to open up. So it's gonna basically be telling you through the story that you're evolving, that you're transforming, and that as the story goes on, it's actually getting harder and harder for you. So story mode is going to serve as a good example of how to progressively get better, which is basically the story of Ichigo. So you're gonna be able to basically train yourself through story mode. And it's a good thing that it's long. By the end of story mode, you should probably be at like a lieutenant level, I would imagine. Of course, to really shine, you're gonna have to jump onto ranked and find out what those captain class characters look like, you know? But overall, I'm stoked to see it. Story mode was not my priority, but knowing that story mode is awesome, I know I'm gonna be jumping on between ranked and story mode, and I wanna see if we have a tournament mode or, you know, what the mission mode looks like. But either way, we have two solid modes at this point between, you know, ranked and this. Now, ranked is still a big question, but we know we have it. It says we have online, etc. So overall, you guys let me know what you guys think from this breakdown. I think that one of the best things that they emphasized and strongly said at the very beginning, hey, this is a retelling. We don't want this to get boring. We don't want this to be repetitive. So they've acknowledged, you know, the elephant in the room. And I think that's one of the best things that a developer can do is say, hey, we know y'all are concerned about this. We want to make it fun. We want it to be fun. So overall, I think they're really listening to us. They're definitely taking in our concerns and definitely putting out a product that we should all be able to support. But you guys let me know what you guys think in the comments. This has been your boy, saintirvingg, and I will catch you on the next one.